Uruguay get the job done over Saudi Arabia with another narrow 1-0 victory. Luis Suarez getting on the score sheet. Shaka Hissab here with me for this one. Shaka, again, I say Uruguay getting the job done, but is it wrong of me to I wanted to see more from Uruguay in these last two games than what we have seen?
Well, we didn't see a whole lot from them in the opening game against Egypt. Normally you find that, well, I find that the opening games of World Cups are normally cagey affairs.
Except for Russia.
Well, this tournament being the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
That game, though, kind of went against what we've seen from everybody else. But they get the job done. And then in this second game, I think the onus was less on Uruguay, given that they scored. Once they scored the goal, I think the pressure is then on Saudi Arabia. Because of the result of the first game, a draw does Saudi Arabia absolutely no good. Yet they go behind and their tactics don't change. They sit back, soak up pressure until probably about the 75th, going into the 80th minute, when they then all of a sudden start coming out and starting to play a little bit more on the front foot. Before that, they had two very solid banks of four, one kind of floating just in front, and you had Al-Muwalad up front as the outlet ball. And he wasn't playing with his back to goal. When the ball came forward, he would just kind of run at the Uruguay defense. It would break down, and then it would kind of just slowly saunter up the other end. Which, again, made absolutely no sense from a Saudi Arabia perspective, given that I felt this is a game they needed 3 points. A draw meant you'd be relying on Russia beating Uruguay in the final game, and you don't want to be asking others for favors. So I was surprised by their approach. And this was just a game that Uruguay had to get the goal, just hold on for 3 points, and see what comes of the game in the end.
All right, well, let's have a look at the standings now for the group, because as many would have predicted, Russia and Uruguay there at the top. Russia absolutely looking spectacular, but as Ale Moreno said on the show yesterday, it's because he feels that they haven't come up against a true test. Well, their true test probably will be against Uruguay. How do you see that game going?
It without question, is their truest test in a game that Uruguay want to win or need to win if they want to finish top, seeing that the opponents in the next round you'd expect from Group B will either be Spain or Portugal, depending on how they finish. I'm not sure there's a preferred option there, given how good given how much we've seen of Portugal earlier on today. So I expect Uruguay to come out and play, but this is a Russia team whose tails are up. And all of a sudden, I certainly didn't think they'd get out of the group, let alone be sitting top with such a strong goal difference and two very good showings in the opening two games. So I think they get the result. I think they get, at the very least, a draw against Uruguay. Uruguay haven't come up against the same opposition, haven't had to extend themselves all that much either. And emotion and wind in the Russian sails. I think they got the draw.
All right, thanks so much to Shaka Hissap. We'll make sure to track everything from the World Cup right here at ESPN FC and catch the show later on ESPN+.